Christianity is a polytheistic pagan belief.
All right, let's see it.
This is because Iblis had direct influence over Constantine.
Iblis is a literary figure that did not exist before the Quran.
For some reason, people cannot understand this.
It's because this is a dogma that is not supported by any data. It is just something that one must either choose to accept or not to accept, and the overwhelming majority of people choose not to accept it.
Now, Constantine was a conqueror of sorts that used to hate Christians. And what he would do is throw them in a gladiator pit and had their lives taken.
There are no data that support the notion that Constantine hated Christians or engaged in the persecution of Christians. Diocletian, who ruled before Constantine, was the one responsible for the most severe persecution of Christians. Now, Constantine had been a member of Diocletian's court for a while, and he represents himself as someone who was doing his best not to get his hands dirty. And in 306 CE, when Constantine finally became emperor, his first move was to halt the persecution of Christians and to implement an edict of toleration for Christianity and for other religions.
Now, Constantine also worshipped the sun god Mithras.
Mithraism was waning within Rome by this time period, despite an attempt by Diocletian to revive it, and Constantine seems to have been primarily dedicated to Sol Invictus, who had only been around Rome for a handful of decades. And scholars debate the degree to which Mithra had been subsumed into the cult of Sol Invictus, but if you want a great discussion of Constantine's religious sensibilities, Constantine and the Divine Mind is a good presentation of all of the data that we have regarding Constantine's religious beliefs.
We have found the actual temples and the altars that he used to do Mithraism rituals on.
We have discovered Mithraic cult sites. We have no data whatsoever indicating we have discovered cult sites that were used specifically by Constantine.
Now, Constantine needed the influence of the Romans to be able to continue to conquer. So he found a way that he can manipulate the Christian Bible and implement Mithraism rituals into it.
No such thing ever happened.
So those rituals that they do inside of the Christian church, where they drink the blood and eat the flesh, the cannibal stuff, that is a Mithraism ritual worshiping the sun god Mithras.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I know there are a lot of people who have very strong feelings about this, and if you think that is true, go find the data and present them.
Now, he was able to pull this off because he was able to disguise the Mithraism ritual and calling it the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, absolutely false. The concept of the Trinity had existed in different forms for many, many years before Constantine was ever born. And what was formalized at the Council of Nicaea was really just a small clarification that really had nothing to do with Constantine's religious ideologies.
Now, the Holy Trinity, talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Son is the sun god Mithras.
The Jewish Messiah as Son of God existed long before Mithraism ever made it to the Roman Empire. And if you're appealing to the Son, S-U-N, versus Son, S-O-N homophone, that's something that only exists in English.
The Holy Spirit is the jinn he worked with to pull this off. You can't be monotheistic if you're worshiping three things. You are trusting a book that was rewritten by a man that used to throw Christians into the gladiator pit.
Again, there are no data that support the notion that Constantine engaged in the persecution of Christians, and Constantine played absolutely no role whatsoever in rewriting a single syllable of the Bible. The most that he did was commission Eusebius of Caesarea to produce 50 copies of the scriptures as they existed at that time.